Welcome to Study Loop.
Hey everyone, today we're solving problem number 2 from chapter 16 of the textbook, which asks us, why is there asymmetric information in the labor market, and what signs might an employer, or what signals or signs might an employer seek out to find out more about their employee? So I'm going to answer the first part of the question in blue, actually in green, and the second part in red. So for the first part, why does asymmetric information exist in the labor market? Well, I've put the definition above here, so we should go through that. Many buyers, this is talking about buyers and sellers, but it can also be applied to employer-employee. So many buyers face a situation of asymmetric information, where two parties involved in an economic transaction have an unequal amount of information. So it involves two parties, and essentially one party knows more than the other. So while this is describing a buyer to seller, vis-a-vis interaction, we can discuss interactions and communication between employer and employee. So the main reason is that the reason why asymmetric information really exists in the labor market is because employers or upper level management people in corporate jobs who are part of the hiring process, they can't actually see the attributes of the employee until they've hired them. So because employers can't know employee until hired. And what I mean by know is knowing their attributes, knowing their hard work, their work ethic, things like that. How do you definitively know someone? I mean, yeah, you can look at a resume and certain things, but that only gives you so much. That gives you their experiences, their university. That's all important, which we'll get to in actually the second part. But you don't really know an employee until they've been with you. And you've spent time getting to know them, because they may react also to your personality type in an abnormal way. You don't know who they like, who they don't like. So it is a bit of a risky thing. So this is an example of how the employer doesn't know as much information as the employee. On the other hand, the reason why it's asymmetric is because the employee, they may not know the employer, but they know themselves. So it's asymmetric because information about the employee is known 100% for the employee. Who knows yourself the best? You. So employee knows him or herself. And I'm saying the employee knows him or herself. Himself or herself. So the employee, for example, knows his work ethic. Is it to, procrastinate a little more? Or does she get things done really quickly? Things like that. That's why it's asymmetric. So that's basically how I'd answer the first part. Now moving on to the second part, which asks us what are some signals. So I'm going to make a list of signals essentially for the employer to figure out more about the employee. I did mention a few. Most of the signals actually that I'm probably going to list are going to be found on the employee's resume. So the resume is very telling, but not just the resume. Oftentimes, employees will have to get references to the employer. And these references are probably one of the best indicators because they're from someone else in the past, in the employee's past, who can speak to the employee, their strengths, their weaknesses, what they can improve on. It really, talks about work ethic of the employee that the employer is hiring, things like that. References are great. Other things like awards of the employee, obviously whether or not they have a degree. That's probably the number one thing. I'm going to put that up there. You got to have a degree usually to get hired at a prestigious company, especially, but even, competitive markets, they want to see that you have an undergrad degree at least from college. So, and along with that, also something else is maybe the school name. So obviously, like Ivy League schools stand out among the rest. But it also depends on where you are, because on the West Coast, Stanford, USC, UCLA, UC Berkeley, those schools stand out a lot more. Caltech, the schools in Claremont, all those schools stand out a lot. Cal Poly, yeah. So that can play that can also play a role. Yeah, definitely. But awards of the employee, it kind of says that they're a hard worker. Other things, I guess GPA in college in certain classes. So like if you're going into accounting, they're going to want to look and see that you've taken a substantial amount of accounting classes, not just accounting, but like specific things about taxing and whatnot. And, again, your degree, if you're going to an accountancy, you got to have a CPA, certified accountant degree, which requires you taking a test. So yeah, these are some different ways to basically show. These are basically signals for the employer to examine their employee fully and to get to know them. So there you have it. If you guys enjoyed my video explanation of this problem, please hit the like button next to it. I hope y'all have a nice day, and thank you for watching.